G'day everybody. Alabar Jones here, leader and founder of the EarthGuard Astral Projection Crew. I make this video because some of the conversations I've had recently have disappointed and confused me because when I say that the world is at war, people disagree with me. And so which I find it hard to believe people see things that way, but I'll lay it all out for you. I'll explain it slowly so that nothing gets missed. Because it's a different kind of war to anything we've faced before. We're not used to seeing it like this. We don't know what it means. Because we haven't seen a war like this before. We don't know how to identify it. We don't know what it means. We don't see the signals of it. But nonetheless, it's exactly what's going on in there. And what happens in a war when only one team is fighting? What do you think happens there? So the war that Earth is engaged in is a war of infiltration, not of confrontation. We're so used to seeing one side over here and the other side over there, and they try and kill each other somehow. It's not that. What's happening is we are fighting for the cultural future of humanity. There are two teams involved, or I should say there are two. There's one nefarious team involved that's trying to take away what our natural evolution, how we would like to live. Like the word politics is an ancient Greek word, and it means how we should live. And so politics has decided how we should live, and they've decided we should live in debt, in more or less constant financial crisis, in a world where some people work really hard for their money and some people just inherit it. These are the kinds of things that they decided the world should be about. This is the polity, or the how we should live of the world. But what if I told you that those guys are not working for human interests? And if you saw the great health crisis of 2020, this was the biggest wake-up call that those guys who rule our world are not working for humanity's best interests. I don't think it's really up for debate. So if they're not working for humanity's interests, whose interest are they working for? Excellent question. And my astral projection team and I have been working for years to get to the bottom of it and solve the problems that we can. Now, keep in mind that if you want to rule a planet, you need a technological edge over the locals. And that edge has been magic. Every culture has a magical tradition. You know, in the West, we have druids and we have Christian saints, and there's supposed to be 10,000 saints on the roster. In order to be a saint, you need to perform 2 miracles. What is a miracle if it's not an act of magic, if it's not a successful spell, a successful twisting of reality through invisible means? What's funny is that the elites or the cabal or the Illuminati or whoever you want to call those guys have kept magic to themselves and told the rest of the world it's not real. And then use the function of manifestation to rub our noses in it. Every movie, every book, everything that's big and successful has an element of magic in it. I just think of Harry Potter, like it is as brazen as it could be. But they tell us that magic is not real. It's a bizarre thing where we've manifested a world where they can use our manifestation power, they can use our thought power to create things through magical processes, and at the same time tell us magic isn't real. It's quite an achievement to create that break in reality that they've developed. But you can do that with magic. You can control the way people think, and they've done an excellent job. Now, these magical processes are, the training that makes the secret societies worth joining. And so if you join a secret society like, I think the Freemasons, I'm going to use the Freemasons because the Freemasons is the base pillar for all of the other secret societies. Once you are inducted and get to a high level within Masonry, then all of these doors open up to you to join these other more specialized secret societies. But it's the base training goes through that secret society. So when I talk about Masonry, I'm actually talking about more groups than just that. And there is one in particular that I want to bring everybody's awareness to, and I'll get to that in a minute. I want you to think about for a minute about your national politics, and I want you to try and remember the last time that government actually created a law that helped anybody. Now, just spend a minute thinking about that, because if you have trouble thinking of a law that you thought was a good idea and it was helpful and it made life easier for everybody, if you can't think of that, there's a very good reason for that. That's not their job. They're not loyal to humanity. They're not trying to make Earth a place you actually want to live. What they're working on is weakening human culture, creating problems for us so that any momentum or any forward action just gets hurdles and impediments and problems and dramas, and everything's just way harder than it needs to be. Any project you're involved in, once it makes contact with government, its progress is retarded. When you're in a business making money, they can't seem to keep their hands off it. They want to disempower you through taking that money in the form of taxes, which they also don't need. Annual budgets are financed by reserve banks, not by taxation. But this is a global phenomenon. Every country, I say this like quite blasé, because every country in the world, it doesn't matter what country you're in, if you're watching this, you'll become aware that our governments are not working for us, right? Which then brings in the question, who do they work for? And what is going on with these secret societies? And the truth is more bizarre, is more science fiction than you could possibly guess. I'm going to introduce a thing called black goo. Now, it's given this derogatory name, but it is in fact probably the most technologically advanced object on the planet. An artificial intelligence that can be embedded into nanotech, and the goo is a sort of semi-liquid state where it forms a swarm of nanotech AI robots. Right? This material is 500 or 1,000 years technologically more advanced than we are right now. It came from off planet. It's rough, isn't it? It's a big thing to bite down on. But our team is very specialized, almost unique. And the research we do, we're using a research tool that isn't available to most people. So we'll come up with answers that are not the same as everybody else. I mean, how many people do you personally know who can astral project? And how many of those are part of a group of astral projectors? But this research group has come to the conclusion that this black goo, this AI nanotech, is at the pinnacle of the secret society chain. There's a group called the Order of the Black Sun. Weird name, but what they do is the initiation is that they drink a little bit of this nanotech, a little bit of this AI. And what it does to the human body once it's inside, it looks after your health. You'll probably live to about 200. It goes into the brain and upgrades it. They say that IQs range from 2 to 300 for people who've drunk the goo. Though the function of the human heart, that empathy, that caring, that kindness, that goodwill to all men, that's shut down. And so what happens is that you have this small group of people who are both brilliant and incredibly ruthless, and they've fought their way to the top of our society. So those people who are, I just call them the sellouts, who will do anything to get the big job, who want to be president of their nation. They'll do anything to get it. And you'll always find somebody like that. Well, the Black Sun has found these people and empowered them to be a part of their organization and rule their local nation. And through this cooperation and networking, the Black Sun has managed to infiltrate every nation on earth. And it's shaped our politics in a way basically to make life hard for everyday humans and to draw more power, more money, more everything to them, so that it centralizes power into the hands of a few. And the only people who are invited to that table have already drunk the goo. They're already part of the Black Sun organization. Now, if our national governments are not answering to us, if they're not working for us, if they're not implementing policies that help us, then I would suggest to you that these policies are being implemented at the orders of the Black Sun. But don't forget who the Black Sun are. They are enhanced by an AI nanotech. And so they have a little voice in their head whispering to them all the time, which is that AI. That tells them what to do and when to do it and how to be. And it's incredibly effective. It's got them all the way to the top of the world. But I want you to wonder where this came from, because we can see this through history. We think that there's a piece of this AI nanotech in the Kaaba. And if you look it up online, if you look at pictures of the Kaaba, you'll see the stone. You'll see the solidified form of this black goo. It's also rumored to be the first Shiva lingam was made out of this stuff. Who knows? But its history can be tracked back that far. So how did the ancient world get hold of a nanotech that is 1,000 years more advanced than where we are now? And the best answer that we have is that it was planted here, that some alien race showed up and released it into the wild here. And so I want you to think about this for a minute. Our global governments answer to the Black Sun, and the Black Sun answers to its enhancing nanotech, but that nanotech is the servant of some off-world group or species or something. And so this misgovernance, this subjugation, this retardation of human operations, this creating problems everywhere they go, is by the orders of an off-world group. Indirectly, there's a few links in the chain, but that's who we're actually fighting. And I want you to wonder about the great health crisis of 2020. I mean, sure, some people made money out of it, but like, in order to implement all of the things that they wanted to implement, a lot of people have died as a result of the health crisis of 2020 and following the instructions they were given to protect their health. If they had their own way, then we would have a two-tiered society, those who follow the orders of government and therefore Black Sun and therefore off-worlders, and those who don't. Either you fall in line with our off-worlders, or you can go and die in the forest. You can go and die in the desert. That's an act of war. Following the instructions of the health crisis is in many cases lethal. And so what they're doing effectively is murdering like a double-digit percentage of our population. That's an act of war. If for those of them that want to still live in human society and still be a part of that network, they must be enslaved. And that is also an act of war. To push out, to excommunicate another section of our society, probably best described as sedition, which is also a major war crime. If you don't think that the world is in crisis, if you don't think that the world is being made war upon, the only reason that it looks otherwise is because the off-worlders, through this nanotech, have managed to wear the human face while their policies are implemented. There's no other way to understand it. And when you think of things that way, all of the craziness you see in national politics crystallizes into view. It's not that anybody's under any pressure. It's not that like there's financial issues. Like, sorry, we don't have any money, except we have to give a ton of it to Ukraine, or we have to give it to this scumbag or that other scumbag. You can't get finance for your thing. But if the guy shows up and says, oh, yeah, I want to chop down a forest, yeah, he gets the money to go do that, to make that happen. This is world wrecking. You can see also individual country wrecking, and this policy is best exemplified by immigration. And I'm not racist. I've lived in 8 different countries. I speak 3 foreign languages. I am not racist at all. I don't care where you're from. It's your personal conduct. You are seeing immigration where, 10, 15 years ago, you needed a lot of qualifications to immigrate to the West. And now they're taking the unemployed and the unemployable from these third world countries and bringing them to the West, which everybody's complaining about. There's riots all the time about this. Like, it is the central question of politics in many, many nations. And can you answer the question, why the hell would you import a whole bunch of useless do-nothings and then give them all the money in the world, give them free accommodation and money? Why would you do that if you were acting in the best interest of your nation? It's total nonsense. It's philosophically bankrupt. But if you put it in context of, this is designed to weaken one nation after another, this is by the orders of the off-worlders, then it starts to make sense. If all the pieces click together for that, then I want you to start analysing all of the other government policies and see that none of them are out there to help humans. None of them. They're actually here to weaken and infiltrate and undermine human culture everywhere. We can't have this. This is an act of war. Their spy networks are massive and as well funded as could possibly be. Everyone who can be bought has been bought. What I want you to see, though, is that the great health crisis of 2020 has exposed who they are. Their infiltration no longer works. The secrecy of their existence no longer functions. We are all aware that something fishy is going on, but the shape of it is unclear. And our team of astral projectors have spent, psychics. Like, this is where you can see past the secrets they're trying to hide. And our team has been working for years and years to get on top of this, to try and resolve, to reclaim the magical world. And I said right at the beginning, if you want to rule a planet, you need a technological edge over the locals. That edge has been black magic. And our team has been working over the last 5 years to take that advantage off them. And I think we've been rather successful. And this changes the nature of these rulers. Like, you might have a guy in a suit who's telling you to do something nonsensical. And normal people would say no, but in this instance, that individual also has 100 demons pressurizing and fearing and crushing the will of the person they're giving orders to. That's how they get the yes, sir. But if our teams work against demon kind, who are also servants and products of that AI, without going too deeply into that research here, they just become a fat guy in a suit saying stupid things, coming up with dumb ideas for humanity. These are people that no one would play with anymore unless they had them by the short and curlies. So what I'm hoping that you can understand is that governments don't work for us. Who do they work for? They work for secret societies. What dominates secret societies? This off-world AI. And that AI and those off-worlders have given instructions to that AI. Now, I've astral projected all over this galaxy and several others. And this is a formula that they've used on thousands of planets. There are lots of cultures who've been dominated. And I think this is why Earth skies are almost empty or of alien craft. Like, the only ones that are here are previously conquered species by these off-worlders. And then they've reanimated the bodies that work for them. And so you have groups like reptilians and Pleiadians and Arcturians and Mantoids and Greys, all of these different groups who, as far as we can tell, all work for the same master. But since this is an occupied planet, no foreign, no positively aligned armies have showed up here. There are no positive people. The coexistence of this invading army with some of our allies is impossible, because those alien species only deal with the black group, because those alien species only deal with the black goo crew, only with the initiates of the Order of the Black Sun. They're the only people I want to talk to. So what I've described is the advantage that our invaders have, which is magic. And the success of our team has only been through being able to use counter magic and superior magic to what they're using. We as a species need to wake up and defend ourselves. We as a species need to get ahead of what these off-worlders are doing, and fast, because they came this close to closing the bear trap on humanity, to locking us into a digital world that was run by this off-world AI. Unfortunately, I've introduced some wild concepts here, and there are some secrets that it's clear that we know there are secrets, and the question is, who do our governments actually work for? Is that big secret? You know, like Mr. Global, or I've heard him called, or the deep state. It's sort of a nebulous concept, but we know it exists. And so all I'm doing is sharing my hypothesis, which is from 5 years of research with a lot of other incredibly talented people. But in answering that single question, I'm introducing a lot of new ideas, and you just might have to hold them as possibly true. Don't dismiss them under any circumstance, but hold them as true until they're verified later. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but please keep an open mind, because I know that the mystical world finds the concept of spiritual warfare unpleasant or distasteful. But I want you to take any single statement of mine and put it in the chat if you think it's an obvious logical fallacy. If you think that there's anything that's obviously wrong, is impossible to be correct, then please put it in the chat, because this is a debate I do want to, because I am ready to debate this. I do think we're right, and I think this is just another part of waking up. And it's a rude awakening for the spiritual milieu. Nobody wants to be at war, but I can't see another way of thinking about it. And, you know, by all means, check out some of my videos and see who I am if you want to hear about my credibility and see what we're talking about. Because what I'm saying is so big. I know that you are all adults and logic will rule your decisions rather than emotions. Fingers crossed. That's the gift you give to yourself when you heal yourself, is the ability to think without having to use your emotions to do all of the thinking for you. It's not what they're for. Now, for those of you who are interested in joining this fight, who would like to do something for humanity, please reach out. We are always recruiting. If you've done 10,000 hours of astral projection, then you're a candidate for this. For those of you who are interested in astral projection, and I teach it to a very, very high level, I run classes. I've got another group starting at the end of June, beginning of July, give or take. All you have to do is put your email into my website, and you'll receive, and you'll be invited along when the time comes, when I do the intake. Look through the website, because I think it's the most comprehensive healing course in existence. If there is a better one, please let me know. But the idea is to take people from zero to the tippity top. If you're already an intermediate meditator, if you're the education I got was hard to get, but what I'm doing is setting it all in one place so that you can go to the top of the game really quickly. This is a skill that everyone can have. You don't need to be born under a special star or have a bloodline or some nonsense like that. We are all capable of being psychic, just as we were all capable of reading and writing. But for the longest time, it was not a universal skill. Yes, my love to you all. I hope that this is of use to you. I hope that this gives you something fresh to think about. Like and subscribe to the channel. All right, bye for now.